All right, hello everyone. My name is Putty, and welcome to a quick little video. I say quick. I don't know how long this is going to end up taking, but welcome to a video I decided to do this afternoon. Tucker is a good way through the conversion for the save over to TEW9. I think I'm going to turn this music down a little bit more. I turned it down before I started, but it's still a little loud in my headphones. Tucker is most of the way through the conversion for TEW9 now. And so we're probably going to start streaming again soon. And one thing I kind of thought I might do here is just go over the roster at the start of the season and sort of talk about where they fit in on the roster, what I think about them in general, and maybe just it's sort of as a planning tool to see, where people are, where we might need to make additions to the roster, where perhaps people aren't that useful. I also thought this would be handy because I think as the years go on, the roster, we don't always stop and pause and show you exactly who's on the roster. So today I'm going to be going through everybody who's currently on the roster and currently pushed as an active wrestler. There are a few people who are out injured, whether that's kayfabe injuries or real injuries, that I'm not going to be covering today, but I thought the good cutoff would just be anyone who was on the roster and pushed as an active wrestler for WrestleMania 24. I've got chat on here, so if anybody wants to ask any questions, I should be able to see it, and your chat should pop up during the video. This is probably going to go up on the VODs channel. I've put all of the tag teams together, except for one, mostly, again, just as a principle thing, just putting the tag teams together, because, again, we're going to try and keep this mostly spoiler-free. So the tag teams that are currently together, I've mostly put and kept together. There are a couple of exceptions. Most of those are literally just accidents. But yeah, like I just said, I think we're going to try and keep this mostly spoiler-free, so I'm not going to literally talk about what this person is going to do throughout the season. More going to talk about just where they are right now, where I perceive them. So I guess I decided to do it via tier list. I'm kind of obsessed with tier lists, so why not? Rather than... There are lots of ways I probably could have done it, but I thought this was a good way of doing it, and I hope these tiers will be useful. So I'll just go through them real quick. The top one is Pillar. This is like someone we build the company around. I think one way I was thinking about how to describe it, one way that I would describe it is... These are people who would sort of represent a part of our macro storytelling, right? These are the people who help us tell a very, very generalized story. Like, these are the people through which we tell our big stories. They are the characters that we watch grow and change over the years, and they're sort of the stars of the show, over generations rather than just over seasons. Moving on to top stars then, these are the stars for right now. These are the guys who aren't pillars, who maybe won't be a star in a year's time, weren't maybe a star last year, but are on pretty much every show. They're main event talent. They're people that we currently build the show around, but maybe aren't people that have the endurance of a pillar. Then I've got B+ players. These are basically, main eventers, but they can come in and out of the main event. They're not going to be there all year. They haven't, they pop up every now and then. They're probably world title winners, but they're not there pretty much, they're not there every show. They're not backbones of our top main event area, right? These are guys who will play a very vital role month on month, but won't necessarily be the enduring top stars. And then we've got vital assets. These are guys who we never really see pushing into the main event scene, but are really important to our week-to-week TV, right? Guys who we can rely on to put on a big main event if we need to. Guys who we really, really like, who form, guys who we're really not interested in getting rid of anytime soon, but maybe aren't guys who are ever going to be like main eventing TV specials or pay-per-views or anything like that. Then next category I've got is we've got plans, big plans. These are guys who aren't necessarily in the spotlight right now, but at some point this year, there are plans already in place. Either I've got plans or Tucker's got plans. We have a concrete idea of something they will do this year, so they're definitely going to be kept around. Next category is very similar. It's deserves a push. These are guys who I see that I think are good. I think they could be important to us, but I just don't have any plans for them right now. I don't have any pitches or ideas. I recognize that we should probably push them, but I don't have any plans to do so yet. Then we've got TV fodder. These are guys that are play a useful role on TV. Again, as we go through here, we might collapse one of these categories, because I'm already seeing some overlap between TV fodder and the categories above it. But these are guys who like are fine where they are. They do a weekly TV segment, or they might have a feud every now and then, but they're never probably going to push on and do anything of use beyond that. Then we've got jobbers, guys who we're probably not looking to get rid of, but who are probably never going to do anything. They're just guys who are useful to have around in the company to lose matches pretty much every week. And then we've got on their way out. So some of these guys are people I forgot were even on the roster, and so are definitely on their way out. Then there are guys who, I kind of like, but it's probably not going to renew their contract, or maybe they're people who they're sort of a past era. It's time to let them move on. Okay, so I think that's the categories explained. Hopefully that was clear. And again, as we go on, I might probably define things a little closer. But let's start talking about the wrestlers, and I might as well go with the order that the tier maker has given me. So this is Idol Stevens. I think he's probably a good example of a TV fodder wrestler, right? He has a shtick, a gimmick that I quite like. I think it's probably time this season to start turning his impersonation gimmick into feuds, getting him some longer term back and forth. I think he had a really good year last year, actually, for what he is. That MVP feud, I think, was interesting. He is sort of a classic example of a TV fodder guy. I don't think we're going to be pushing him up the card, but I think he's a really useful guy to have around and to take up some TV time. We got Daivari. He's probably on his way out. We like Daivari, but we never really found a use for him. He's someone, I think there are probably things he can do in his last few months, but actually, I've got the game open. I'm going to take a quick look here at Daivari's contract. He's got 9 months left, actually, so we should definitely not just keep him rotting in the undercard. We should definitely do something with him. But yeah, I definitely think if he's got 9 months left that he's going to be gone at the end of that. The next guy, this is Chris Masters, I guess. Yeah, this is Chris Masters. I really like Chris Masters. Part of me thinks that maybe him leaving the group, so he's currently part of M&M, Masters, Miz, and Nitro. And Tucker really likes that trio, which makes me want to keep them together. But they do feel a little stagnant right now. They've obviously got a story going on that I like, and I have plans for the tag team afterwards. Masters has always been someone who I think could very well be. I think I'm going to put him in Deserves a Push, because I just think he's great. He's not on roids in our save anymore. He looks amazing. He's got a really great presentation. He's good enough, I think, to be something, but you just don't know really where that's going to go right now. I do think separating him from the tag team could push him onwards, especially if they were on different brands. But I know Tucker likes the trio, so I'm not exactly sure how that's going to work out. If Tucker has plan, if we can do something with the trio, that would be great. But I always think it's been the toughest thing to do in that trio has been establishing Masters as the singles guy. This is Melina. Where is Melina going? Melina's really, really good. She's probably not a top star. Couldn't really build the brand around her. I don't even know necessarily if she'd be probably in between these two tiers. So like Melina is obviously one of the biggest assets in the women's division. She's killed it this year. I think she probably is in the B+ player area, because she's done things like feuding with Triple H, which has been sort of top end card stuff, nailed it on the ratings. She's a really cool, like, she's a cliche character, don't get me wrong. She's basically just a mean girl archetype, but the way that fits into the division, I think, fits really well. She plays off all of her rivals, Trish, Mickie James, Beth Phoenix, really well. I think she's like the top heel in the women's division, and she's going to be for a while. So I think B+ player is probably a good tier for her. All right, Batista. Batista's one of our pillars. He is sort of the peak big guy archetype, right? You know, he's a big guy who's great at wrestling in kayfabe. He's got this star presence. He's this strong and silent type with drops these one-liners from time to time. He is somebody who we followed through the Evolution days, overcoming Triple H, and now reaching its peak these last couple of years. Big, matches against Booker T and The Undertaker and Chavo Guerrero. And then we're kind of moving into a new arc with him after his loss to Floyd Mayweather at WrestleMania. So yeah, I mean, easy pillar for him. I know who the 4 pillars of our company are, so they're gonna go straight in here. And yeah, he's a top guy. He's older. His body is not as resilient as some of the other pillars, so we're probably not going to have him around for ages. But for this year, for sure, he's still one of the people who we're building the company around. Definitely. Beth Phoenix. Beth Phoenix. Ooh, where does she go? She is probably Vital Asset. She's our women's champion. She's gonna be our, sort of a tweener character. She is both, a babyface because she's badass and she's cool, and she'll fight people like Melina, but she can also play a heel because she's a larger, stronger kind of archetype. So she's definitely a tweener. She's a really important asset in the division. Hopefully she establishes herself and she can be a key part of this women's division over the next year. The Boogeyman is a jobber, right? Maybe he's TV fodder sometimes, but we just never see him. There was one more tier. Actually, Boogeyman goes into a good tier here. And actually, I'm gonna move... I actually like the TV. I don't like to add another tier here because I feel like I already have too many, but I do feel like we need a special attraction tier. And this is guys who are not on TV all the time, but will be there for the either big events or just occasional comic relief like Boogeyman. We'll put this, I guess, here. Boogeyman's a special attraction, I think. Yeah, I think a special attraction. He's going to come around every now and then and do something stupid. I don't know. Maybe he's actually on his way out, but there's probably stuff there we can do with him. Okay, now I put Lance Cade and Trevor Murdoch here. This also includes Roy Walker, and they're clearly TV fodder. I think this year I'm going to try and push to have them be a little more pushed, because I like the idea that they're like Southern style tag wrestlers, right? Heat segments, letting baby faces build up to hot tags and things like that. I think that could be really cool. Admittedly, they're not that interesting of characters. I think we've done okay with this year, but we've kind of treated them as a gimmick, and I think that's okay. But I think there's something to be said of like Southern style tag team wrestlers just sort of being TV fodder this year. So that's where I'm going to put them. This is, I believe, Candice Michelle. So Candice Michelle was part of the Nat Hart Dojo last year. She was Nat's main opponent. She might have a little push here. So the plan is to move all of the... Again, we're going to have some minor spoilers in this video. I'm going to try and keep the big stuff spoiler-free, but I'm going to talk about a few of the short-term plans. So the current short-term plans for the Nat Hart Dojo is to move all of Nat's Dojo kids over to Raw and try and push a few of them really hard, and then have a new crop of Dojo kids for Nat to work with this year, and a new story to tell on SmackDown. So she's gonna have a role, but I don't see her going very far in that role, so I'm gonna put her as a jobber for the year. Cena, obviously a pillar, lost at WrestleMania. Kind of interesting to see where he goes from here. But obviously we have plans for him because he's one of our pillars. He's our sort of heart of the company, right? He loves the audience, he loves the fans. He has this sort of principled stance, and then he has these ethics and virtues that he preaches. And he's also really, really good. He's probably the best in kayfabe wrestler of the last 5 years. He had 2 absolutely mammoth title reigns over the last couple of years, but he has now lost twice to Randy Orton at big events, and what's that going to mean for his career trajectory going forward? And that's one of the big stories we're going to have a look at this year. Charlie Haas. Oh, right. Charlie Haas. Really, really interesting. He is someone who keeps over impressing, and I think a lot of it is that Tucker, 1, likes Charlie a lot, and 2, the material that Tucker does for Charlie just keeps landing. It's really good stuff. Even all the way back in the DMLS days. Even all the way back in the DMLS days, Tucker, was still pulling out, when I thought, the momentum was gone, he was pulling out interesting stuff for him to do. I don't know what Charlie's going to do this year, if I'm being honest. But I feel like he's going to be in this B+ player range, or maybe Vital Asset. I'm going to put him in Vital Asset, even though B+ player seems like it fits for Charlie. I think in order to get up to this tier, you need to be like consistently moving into main event slots every now and then. And I don't know if Charlie's ever going to get back to that main event level, but he's a really important asset. You know, there's a lot of story that's being told for Charlie that we can use to sort of have him as this now one-dimensional version of himself where the story's already done, but we now have this sort of old grizzled vet who has this history of wanting to teach young wrestlers but getting sort of betrayed by them. So there's an interesting character in Charlie Haas that I think we could use this year, but I'm not 100% sure he gets up into the main event areas. Chavo Guerrero's top star, 100%. He just main evented WrestleMania. He's the best wrestler in the world out of kayfabe. He is, he's great. He's like essentially the in-save version of what Shawn Michaels was in this era. He is just a magnificent wrestler who has reached the top of the company. And he's great. He's an amazing heel. He's got this. He's one of my favorites. He is my favorite story of the save so far. He's had this slow descent into bitterness. Now we've got this really, really bitter character who is a fantastic heel and who is the best wrestler in the world. So really, really useful to have. I think he's a top star. He's one of SmackDown's top stars. And yeah, he's going to stay there for most of the year. Okay, we got Cody Rhodes. I split up the Legacy Boys because I think they do have a slightly different... I think they do have a slightly different trajectory this year. I'm going to go with TV fodder for Cody. I think he's going to be in and out of relevance, mainly because he's obviously tagging with Ted DiBiase. But I don't think we're going to see like much upward trajectory from Cody this year. He's just sort of like a green wrestler who doesn't have much of a character yet, and I think that's mostly okay. Dave Taylor's on his way out. I wish I could have some... we could have used Dave more. I think he's obviously got a lot to offer the company, but let's actually go have a look. How much longer does he have left on his deal? He's here for like another month. And this was like a short-term extension we gave him last time. So I think Dave Taylor's gone, which is a bit of a shame, but you can't keep holding on to people, right? This is something I said to Tucker about some of our other people in the company is like once something hasn't worked, like if you haven't used a guy for 6 months, then clearly you don't have anything for them, and it's probably time for them to move on. Is this a save you're booking against / with someone? Yes, so this is me and Tucker's save. If you go to YouTube and you type in Silly Tuck, that's where all the shows are. It's me and Tucker's save. We've been booking since 2004, and we're now in 2008, so it's a really long-term save. So a lot has changed. All right, Simon Dean on his way out. I didn't even know this guy was still on the roster. Not much to say about Simon Dean. He's definitely leaving when his contract's up. I'm honestly surprised he's still here. He's got 2 months left on his deal, and then he will, in fact, be gone. This is Talia Madison, the Dick Master. I kind of forget we have her. She's not part of Revolution, is she? Hold on. This is another thing I can check the game for. Stables, Revolution. Oh, she is a member of Revolution. I think that's probably why I've been forgetting she's on the roster these days. She's definitely TV fodder. I think maybe she deserves better. Maybe she even deserves a push. But yeah, probably just TV fodder for now. I think probably should be paying a bit more attention to her because she's quite good. But yeah, it's been a year where like Melina's dominated the spotlight, right? So it's not really that big of a deal that she hasn't, but there's probably a role for her to play this year. Deuce and Domino, easy TV fodder, right? I think again, guys who, they have this they could fill this Southern wrestling tag team heel style of heat segments, let the baby faces build up hot tags. We've sort of just been waiting for them to get over. And I'm just going to check to see if they are real quick. Yeah, they're over enough right now to do something. So we should probably start doing something with them. But they're TV fodder, right? They're nothing more than that. Doug. I think I'm going to put Doug in We Have Plans. Doug has plans this year. They're not amazing. They're not fantastic. They're not going to take him all the way to the end of the year or anything. He has had his run. But he still has a role to play, so we have plans, big plans. Yeah, good. We're just working. The plan today, if you've come in late, is just to go through the roster and okay. You said how's the conversation going? I assume you meant how the conversion is going. In which case, it's almost done. Tucker has a few things left to do, but otherwise it's almost done. If you're asking genuinely about the conversation, then oh yeah, you did mean the conversion. Cool, yeah. So it's almost done. No worries. We might be back to it this weekend, or it might be the weekend after, but we're very, very close to being done. Dragon Nakamura is probably a jobber. I don't think he's necessarily ever gonna get the TV fodder status, although he's got a lot going for him, but I'm gonna put him in jobber for now. McIntyre, we have plans, big plans. McIntyre is someone I like, so we have ideas for where he's going this year. DX with their heads cut off. Yeah, I think definitely B+ players. I think they are... Obviously, Triple H is currently the Intercontinental Champion. There's going to be a big shift for them this year. Towards the end of the year, there are some big plans for them to get into that main event scene, but I think that's exactly where they are in that B+ player spot. They are occasional main eventers. Really important part of our mid-card this year, so I'm looking forward to that. Elijah Burke. I think I'm going to put him in deserves a push. He's got a lot of assets. He's really good, but no plans for him at the moment. Evan Bourne, vital asset. Yeah, I think so. I think he has the potential to be a really, really big part of the Cruiserweight division this year. And we've laid the groundwork for that. It's just a matter of bringing the plans together for him to be a top star. Finlay, I'm just going to say on his way out. I just haven't used him this year. Not really someone who we make use of regularly. Now, when I say on his way out in this case, he's not leaving the company, but he's moving probably into a backstage role. Ryder and Hawkins, Los Guerreros Blancos Técnicos. They are probably jobbers again this year. I don't think they had their run of 3 months. I think, yeah, I don't exactly know what they're going to do this year. I guess, actually, we do kind of have plans for him, but they're not big plans, so we're going to leave them with jobbers. Gregory Hurricane Helms. I'm going to put him in TV fodder. I have plans for Helms to make him a little bit more relevant, but it's not going to be... Actually, you know what? I'm going to move him into on his way out. I do have plans for him, but once those plans are over, that's probably the end of his run. Really, really good, really, really good asset, but that's probably the end for him. This is... Oh, God, I knew I was going to struggle to recognize some of the women. Hold on, let me check my folder. It'll have a label on it. Who is that? Kirsty Hemme. Okay, Kirsty Hemme. I mean, yeah, she's clearly a jobber, isn't she? She might move over to Raw, but if she does, she's going to be a jobber there. Highlanders, I mean, I think they're jobbers. Maybe they could be classed as TV fodder, but they're basically just McIntyre's goons. They're going to be taking a lot of losses for him. JBL Special Attraction. He's not come back to be a full-time wrestler. He's way too big for that. So he's going to be a special attraction. But glad to have him back. He's a great special attraction to have. Jeff Hardy. We have plans. Big plans. Jesse and Festus. I mean, they're jobbers, aren't they, at the end of the day? We have maybe some plans for them, but none of that's really come together yet. So I think for the meantime, they deserve to be in that jobber category. Joey Mercury. Probably a jobber. I think that there's some interesting stuff going on with him right now, but it's not going to lead to him staying in the main event scene at all. God, who's this? I swear I know who that is, but I'm going to have to check my folders. I'm sorry. It's only the women jobbers that I don't recognize. Oh, it's Katie Lee. I'm going to put Katie Lee in deserves a push. I like Katie Lee. I think she's good. I think her going over to Raw, she has a chance to be a breakout star this year, but I don't exactly know how. But I think she's good. I think she deserves a push. This is Frankie Kazarian. He's on the way out. No much. He had a good run. I like Kaz, but he's definitely leaving at the end of his deal. Bobby Lashley. I think B+ player for Bobby Lashley. He's going to come in and out of the main event scene all year. There are plans for him, big plans, but ultimately he's not going to be a mainstay at the top, I don't think. But he's great. He's fantastic. London and Kendrick, top stars for sure. Absolutely definitional tag team wrestlers. The best tag team in the world, the best tag team in our company. Yeah, they're not quite sure exactly what they're going to do this year yet. Have ideas, but they are wherever they are. It's going to be box office viewing, right? Mark Henry. I think I might put him in special attraction. I think that's the role he's going to fill going forward. He's really good. He's really exciting, but he is not going to be a consistent mainstay on television. Matt Hardy, I'm going to call him a jobber. I think he's not going to be able to move into that TV fodder row. I don't think he's got enough interesting going on, but hopefully he'll prove me wrong. Marcus Carvon deserves a push for sure. He's got a lot of assets. Really exciting talent. Someone both me and Tucker like, but no current plans for him in the year, but he does deserve a push. This is Michelle McCool. We have plans. Big plans for Michelle McCool. She is staying on SmackDown, unlike a lot of the Dojo kids. And I'm really hoping that she can be a really important asset on SmackDown. Mickey James is probably TV fodder, right? Definitely has a lot of good going on. He's going to be a mainstay of the division for a little bit longer until we have to make a decision about whether she sticks around or not. But for now, there's not enough talent in that division to force her out. But if a lot of these SmackDown women come in and do really well, then that might be the end of it for her. But obviously, she's really good. Okay, this is funny. This is just... I know who this is, but you would never know. It's Tyson Kidd and Jack Evans, so Millennium. They're TV... I think I'll put them in jobbers, right? Tyson Kidd. I like Tyson Kidd and Jack Evans, but they're probably going to be jobbers for most of the year. Miz and Morrison. I think I'm going to put them in plans. Yeah, I'm going to put them in plans. I have plans for Miz and Morrison this year, or Miz and Nitro. And I think that they will be good. I really hope so. This is the year where I think they're finally going to start to shine. Mr. Kennedy. Where on earth do we put Mr. Kennedy? I think B+ player is the spot for him. I don't know. He might drop to vital asset this year. I think he's really useful. He's got this really great presence. He's gotten over. He's really exciting. He's got a really good shtick, but I just don't know if he'll be able to maintain the number of feuds that he needs to stay relevant. But I think I will put him in B+ player because I know for at least a couple months he's going to be in the main event scene. So Nat Hart. Nat Hart's a top star. I think she just fits the definition. She is what the SmackDown Women's Division is based around. She's going to continue to be what the SmackDown Division is based around. We're trying to use her to get other assets over and to improve them. So I think she's definitionally what you would call a top star, even though, in terms of actual star power, she's below the other two people in that bracket. But I think she's clearly what the division is built around, and I think that can't be anything other than top star. Ziggler and Dykstra, the new breed. I'm going to call them TV fodder. I think they're a really exciting tag team. They're a lot like Evans and Kidd. Their work rate's worse by a bit, but they're, I think they have a bit more presence about them. I think they're sort of like the premium version of the young, exciting tag team, right? And I'm hoping that they can step into that role, whichever brand it ends up being. It's hopefully, a babyface role, I think, for them this year. All right, Randy Orton is our third pillar. He's had a huge year, as you know. I think his biggest story of the last year has been that he's seen as foil, right? He's also, just sort of the best wrestler in the world. Very few people have won as many big matches as Randy Orton has. He won the WrestleMania 22 world title match. He won the WrestleMania 24 world title match. He has won a lot of big SummerSlam matches against Chris Benoit, against John Cena, against Hulk Hogan. He's sort of like this big star, but he's also got that dark side. He's put a lot of people on the shelf. The big story we've been telling over the last few months has been Randy Orton, you've been brutal, you've been ruthless, you've destroyed your enemies, but what happens when they all come back, right? So Shawn Michaels has come back and Orton survived it, and then John Cena's come back and Orton survived it, but there's more of his old enemies to return in the coming months, and it'll be interesting to see if he can survive it. So Orton, definitely a pillar, someone we build one of the people we build the shows around. Psychosis. So obviously we have plans, but I think taking a wider view, I think he's a TV fodder guy. He's a really useful asset to have in the cruiserweight division. I think his current feud's really exciting, but I think he's ultimately going to be like in and out of TV, occasional feud, that kind of thing. William Regal, I'm just going to put in deserves a push, even though I'm pretty certain he's never going to get it. And he might be someone who I should say is on his way out, if I'm being completely honest. But I really like William Regal. He's obviously amazing. I think everybody agrees Regal is a really, really good asset. He has an amazing promo skill. He has an amazing... he's an amazing wrestler. He's got a great character, like he's got a great way of preserving character and of presenting character. Yeah, I mean, William Regal's great, obviously. It's just finding the right role for him. He's experimented a lot with non-wrestling roles, which ironically I think is where he's probably going. But I'm going to put him in deserves a push, I think. Can be a great road agent, yeah, for sure. I mean, I wouldn't pitch him for that slot, though, because he's so good on screen that I would want him doing other non-wrestling roles before I'd want him doing road agenting. Okay, Renee, this is the other tag team that I separated, mostly by accident. I just made a Renee picture before I thought, oh yeah, this should be a tag team, because he's currently in a tag team. I'm gonna call him a vital asset. I think he's a great wrestler. He's a cool character. He's currently in a really important tag team, but I don't think he's going to be pushing into that main event scene this year much. Rey Mysterio. Ooh. This could be a controversial one. I feel like he's TV fodder. Right? Yeah, no, I think he is. I don't think he's going to do anything relevant this year. Obviously, he's in a really cool feud now, but I think he's going to be in and out of TV when he has stuff to do. I don't think he's going to be pushing into the main event slots, unfortunately, because, again, he's fantastic. But yeah, I just don't think he's going to be super relevant. Unlike Roderick Strong, who is probably a vital asset. I don't know, he does main event a lot, but I think I'm starting to realize with Roddy, as much as he's great, as much as he's good, as much as he's going to be an important part of this cruiserweight division this year, just like he has been last year, I don't know if I trust him enough to be that occasional main eventer. I think he's not quite there. So I think Vital Asset's the right place for Roddy. I think he's clearly what the cruiserweight division is currently based around. And I think he's great for that role, but I don't think he's the best the cruiserweight division has ever seen. I think, guys like Chavo especially. Chavo's like the big cruiserweight guy who pushed the boundaries. And then Evan Bourne last year, I think, was really successful. I think going forward, Evan's going to push those barriers, but I don't think Roddy's that guy. I think Roddy's been a really, really good hand to keep this cruiserweight division interesting over the last year, and he's going to continue to do so for at least a couple months, but he's not the final form of the cruiserweight division, I don't think. Okay, Santino Marella. I think we have plans, big plans, for Santino. I think he's obviously he's currently the tag team champion. I think we have ideas for how we can progress that. Serena Deeb. I'm gonna put Serena Deeb in deserves a push. She's got a lot of really good assets. She's great, she's got a great look, she's got a great presence, she is a good wrestler. I think she definitely deserves a push if we can find a spot for her. Shad Gaspard, I didn't quite realize was still in the company. I think I want to do some stuff. I like Shad Gaspard to get some TV time on his way out, but he is indeed on the way out. Shark. Shark is... We've got plans, big plans. Tucker has plans for Shark, and I like them. I think they're good. I think it's going to be fun. Shelly Martinez. We've got plans. Big plans for Shelly Martinez. She is, for me, the nailed-on benefactor of the SmackDown to Raw Natalia Dojo pipeline. I'm just going to have a look here. Unfortunately, she isn't super over right now, but she's got really good momentum. And yeah, I think she's got the stats to pull it off. I think we're gonna try and push Shelly Morgan over on Raw this year, and let's see how it works out. Our final pillar is Shelton Benjamin. I know, in some ways this isn't as obvious, I feel like, as the other three, but he's another person that I think is one of our big stories of the save, one of our macro stories. The way he takes wrestling probably more seriously than the other three. He sees it as a sport that is to be climbed. I think in that way he's a lot like Batista. He's also like the foil to a lot of these guys, so mainly Randy, of course, Shelton and Randy, but also Shelton and Batista. They've had big matches over the years. Shelton's getting the better of both of them really over the course of the years. He's a top star, hugely great look, great star quality, great wrestler, top asset, top athlete, and obviously took a top billing at WrestleMania this year and is going to go on to be a big star this year, especially in the back half. I think this is the year where Shelton's going to step up to that level of being a pillar like the rest of them. So without spoiling too much, I think it's going to be a huge year for Shelton Benjamin. Samoan Wrecking Crew, Manu and Umaga. They are probably TV fodder. A good TV fodder, but they're probably TV fodder. I really like this team. I think they're really exciting. I don't think they're going to push the division onwards or anything. They're just going to be in and out of relevance as they have feuds. Undertaker, obviously a top star. Going to be on TV for the whole year, I think. I'm going to try. I have plans for him to be on TV at least through September, October time. Probably even into November. So hoping this is the year where Taker takes it seriously, goes full time, works SmackDown, and hopefully we get the benefits of that because he's fantastic. He's a great wrestler. He's a great talker. He's got a great character, and he's the World Heavyweight Champion. So yeah, this should be a big year for Taker as well. Ted DiBiase, I'm going to say we have big plans for Ted DiBiase because we both, I'm surprised by how much Tucker is enjoying Ted. He's got a lot of interesting assets and facets to him, and I think I've got a lot of ideas for how to make Ted have a good year, so hoping that comes to fruition because I really like Ted. Tommy Dreamer, right? He should be on his way out. Let's be honest, right? He should be on his way. But I actually quite like Tommy Dreamer. I'd like to keep him around. I think he's quite interesting. I think there are a lot of assets Tommy Dreamer has that are interesting to play with, and I feel like Tucker enjoys booking him too. So I'm gonna put him in Jobber. I think I want to keep Tommy Dreamer around. I think he offers something of use to us. All right, this is Candice. Nope, sorry, this is Tori Wilson. Tori Wilson is going into Vital Asset. Fantastic. Probably the first major success story of the women's division back in 2006, 2005, as a non-wrestling character who was strong and independent and then became a wrestling character, but recognized that she wasn't like a wrestler. She was just using the wrestling to further her goals. Fantastic character. I think we did a really good job with Tori, and now she is once again in this situation where she is affecting mid-card storylines and being a really useful asset to move around in there. I think we gotta be careful with Tori to keep her consistent and not to undermine what we've done with her. But Tori should be a vital asset if used correctly, so I'm gonna put her there. Next is Victoria. I'm gonna put her in TV fodder, but again, she should realistically be a useful asset if we use her properly. But she might also be on her way out, actually. But I don't think she should be. I think she's got enough going for her that she, like Mickie James, if she doesn't get pushed out of that spot, should be someone we use on a regular basis as she comes in and out of relevance. All right, last guy is Yoshihiro Nobunaga. He's an interesting one. I feel like he hasn't lit the world on fire. I feel like he's also a little bit like the audience isn't super sold on him. Like the real life audience isn't super sold on him being like a WWE guy. I like him. I think he's got a lot to offer. I think he does fit as that sort of exotic part of the cruiserweight division. But I don't feel comfortable putting him like up here. So I'm gonna put him. I'm going to put him in here, but I want to move one of these guys down to Jobber so it equals out. Because I think he is a TV fodder guy. What we got in here? I guess Idol Stevens can be a Jobber. I don't think he's going to be winning a lot of matches this year. All right, I think that's about right. So our pillars are Batista, Cena, Orton, and Shelton. Our top stars are Chavo, Lennon Kendrick, Nat Hart, and The Undertaker. Our B-plus players are guys who will come in and out of the main event throughout the year, but will be a constant presence. Are Melina, DX, Bobby Lashley, Mr. Kennedy. Vital assets. These are guys who are probably going to be on the show all the time, but aren't really pushing to those main event levels. Beth Phoenix, Charlie Haas, Evan Bourne, Rene Dupree, Roderick Strong, and Tori Wilson. Yep, that sounds about right. Guys we have big plans for this year. Doug Basham, I guess. Drew McIntyre, definitely. Jeff Hart, definitely. Michelle McCool, yep. The Miz and Nitro, yep. Santino, yes. Actually, do I have that many plans for Santino? Did I say that? No, I think I'm thinking of someone else, to be honest with you. I'm going to move... Nah, I'm going to keep him there. We have... I don't know, he doesn't actually feel like he belongs there, if I'm being honest. The only reason I'm hesitating, as you can probably tell, is because I don't really want to put him in one of these categories, because they're a little bit full at the moment. You know what, I'm going to... No, I'm going to leave him there. I think it's about right. We have plans for him. Not a ton of plans, but we have plans. We have plans for Shark, plans for Morgan, and plans for Ted DiBiase. Then guys who deserve a push, but we don't really have plans for. Masters, in my opinion. Burke, Katie Lee, Marcus Corvon, William Regal, and Serena Deeb. Special attraction wrestlers, obviously we've got kind of two different categories of special attraction here. We've got Boogeyman and Mark Henry, who have useful things to do, but aren't going to be doing them year-wide, so they're special attractions in that respect. Whereas JBL is a legitimate special attraction. He's a top star, an elite sort of match builder, who is not going to work full-time. I think he's better served working those occasional dream matches on the big pay-per-views. And so that's what he's going to do this year. TV fodder guys, the Cowboys, Murdoch, Cade, and Walker. Cody Rhodes obviously is the tag team partner of Ted DiBiase, but I think we'll have a little bit less spotlight on him this year. Talia Madison, who has a lot of good things going for her, but probably isn't going to push into those top levels. Deuce and Domino, who I think should be TV fodder, because I think, again, much like the Cowboys, I think we should use them as this Southern style tag team wrestlers. Mickey James, who's got a lot of good things going for her, but has probably missed the boat in terms of being a top star. Dykstra and Ziggler, who I think should be this fun, exciting young babyface team if they can get over the fact that they're probably naturally heels. I'm guessing you're converting this database to TW9. Yes, it's almost done. I'm not the one doing it, but it is almost done. Who was I on? Oh yeah, I was on Ziggler and Dykstra. Psychosis, who is in a really exciting feud right now, but I'm not sure exactly what he does afterwards, and is probably someone who comes in and out of relevance throughout the year. Same thing for Mysterio, literally exactly the same thing, because they're in the same feud. The Samoan Wrecking Crew, again, cool tag team, probably come in and out of relevance as is natural for tag teams, but they're in this, not in jobbers, because I'm expecting them to win a lot. Victoria, again, pretty much the same thing, but for the women's division. Just naturally, she's going to be coming in and out of relevance because there isn't as much spotlight for the women as there is for singles men. But she should be winning a lot of her matches, one would imagine. Yoshihiro Nobunaga, interesting character, could be a top cruiserweight, but not 100% sold on him. Candice Michelle, she had a really good run last year. I think she was an important part of the SmackDown division. Now it's time to see if she can hang on Raw. Dragon Nakamura, breakout star last year, really fun and exciting, but ultimately is going to be a guy who just loses a lot in the cruiserweight division. Ryder and Hawkins, if they stick around as a tag team, are just going to lose a lot in the tag team division. That's kind of their role. That is Christy Hemme, I think. Again, she's a jobber. It is what it is. The Highlanders, again, they're mostly jobbers. Drew McIntyre is going to probably get pushed, but they're just his goons, so they're going to lose a lot. Jesse and Festus, they're a comic relief tag team. They're going to lose a lot. But you know, they have no real danger of getting moved on. But we might split them up if we can come up with a good idea, because we like Jesse. Joey Mercury, currently in an interesting feud, but ultimately he's mostly a comic relief jobber, so that's what he's going to do. Matt Hardy, Jeff's got a big year ahead of him. Let's find out if Matt can do anything about it, but if not, he's just going to end up being a jobber. And then the missing men, Jack Evans and Tyson Kidd, they're fun, they're exciting, they're Roderick Strong's goons, they're probably just going to lose a lot. Tommy Dreamer probably should be on his way out, but I'm going to try and hopefully keep him around, and we can see if we can keep doing interesting things with him, but he's still going to be losing a lot. And then Idol Stevens has a good shtick, has a good gimmick, he does it every week, but it's a comedy relief gimmick, and so he's probably going to be losing a lot. On their way out, Davari, surprised he's still here. I'd like to do some things while he is, but otherwise he's leaving. Dave Taylor, I'm a bit I find a bit of a shame that he's leaving, but we haven't done anything with him, so he has to go. Simon Dean, surprised he's still here. Get him out of here. Finley, again, a bit of a shame we haven't done anything for him, but it's time to go. Gregory Helms, love him, iconic, one of our first big cruiserweights. Hopefully we get to do some fun stuff with him, but his time is numbered. Shad Gaspard, surprised he's still here. Again, I'd like to use him while he is, but then once the contract expires, he's out of here. Sorry, that's Shad Gaspard. This is Frankie Kazarian. Frankie Kazarian, obviously, I really like what Frankie's done in the company, but his story's finished, and I don't really see him sticking around. All right, that is the 2008-2009 roster as it stands at the start of the year. There are obviously people missing for this. The most notable one is Edge, who is coming back soon, and we have plans, big plans. So yeah, otherwise, I think that's about it. So hopefully this hopefully this was interesting for you. Hopefully this is useful for me. I don't quite see it at the moment, if I'm being honest, but it was fun. And we'll see going forward if I can look back at this and sort of think about the things I was thinking about in this video. And most importantly, hopefully this gave you an idea of the roster. There are a few guys on here that I forgot were still on the roster, so I'm sure there are a few guys on here that you forgot were still on the roster. It's honestly, I know it looks big, but it's not as big of a roster as I might think it is. So maybe there are some new additions to come. Although after some feedback recently, I definitely think we should be very careful about additions to the roster. All right, thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you guys hopefully in the not too distant future for the start of season of the 2008-2009 season on the new game. So yeah, thank you all for watching, and I will see you guys then. Peace out.